That chocker is really a dirty dog. Well, this has been most interesting, and if I ever want to build a doghouse, I'll consult both of you. Now, in just 1 minute, you're going to play You Bet Your Life for a chance at the $1,000 question. Right now, I want you to hear something of real importance.
Across the nation this week, folks everywhere are getting their first ride in the beautiful new 1952 DeSoto. Look at those big, wide doors and see how roomy this 1952 DeSoto is. Inside, you sit naturally. You relax in seats that are chair high. Yes, the 1952 DeSoto brings you a whole host of wonderful features. Features like Oriflow shock absorbers to help give you one of the smoothest rides you've ever known. Waterproof ignition to give you sure starts even in the dampest weather. To protect your family in case of blowouts. Famous safety rim wheels. The 1952 DeSoto. It's designed for you and your budget, too. See the new 1952 DeSoto. Now on display at your DeSoto Plymouth dealers.
All right, you bet as much of your $20 as you want on each of 4 questions, and the couple that earns the most money gets a chance at the $1,000 DeSoto Plymouth question later in the show.
Is that clear, Mr. Hagedorn? Here we go. Let's see how high I can build you $20. You selected nursery rhymes. Here's your first question. How much are you going to bet?
Let's say 18.
15, I think we'll be conservative.
Let's make it 18.
No, let's make it 15.
Oh, no, let's make it 18.
No, I think we'll make it 15. 15?
15.
This is a woman's world we're living in, Mr. Hagedorn.
So I find out.
You're betting $15. Where did Peter keep his wife?
A pumpkin. In a pumpkin.
In a pumpkin, yes.
In a pumpkin shell is right.
Well, you're off to a good start. You have $35.
Remember, you're going for $1,000 tonight. How much of the $35 will you bet on your second question?
How about 30? Let's make it 30.
Well, I got...
How old was the peas porridge in the pot? You know.
9 days old.
9 days old is right.
You're climbing. You have $65.
I think Hagedorn has been building kiddie coops. Here's your third question. How much will you bet?
62.
62. Who kissed the girls and made them cry?
Georgie Porgy.
Georgie Porgy is right.
You now have $127.
All right, and here's your last chance to be the other couples. How much will you bet?
Let's make it 100.
$100.
Can we come up with something?
All right, here we go for $100. Who runs through the town in his nightshirt, rapping at windows?
Wee Willie Winky.
Wee Willie Winky is right.
And you wind up with a grand total of $227. Thank you very much.
Thanks and good luck from the DeSoto Plymouth dealers.
We have a tailor and a housewife now, Groucho, and here they are, Mr. Richard R. McIntosh and Mrs. Catherine George. Meet Groucho Marx.
Oh, inside. I see. Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome to You Bet Your Life. Say the secret word and divide $100. It's a common word, something you see every day. Mrs. Catherine George, you're the housewife. Where are you from, Mrs. George?
I'm from Macedonia, Greece.
You're from Greece?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. George doesn't sound like a Greek name. Are you married to Gorgeous George?
Oh, no. Georgiopoulos. His name is Georgiopoulos, but I just dropped the Opoulos.
My Aunt Minnie did the same thing. She was really Minneapolis. And I had an Indian uncle named Indianapolis. Nothing. What sort of work does your husband do?
A restaurant man, but of course he's retired now.
He's retired?
Mm-hmm.
You have any children?
Oh, yes. 5 children and 7 grandchildren.
How did you meet your husband?
Well, my husband was a captain.
I'll call you Sheila, huh?
My husband was a captain of the Greek army. I come from a very small town in Macedonia. So he passed by there. He was a captain of the transportation corps. And he stopped there for one night. And he says the first minute he set eyes on me, he fell in love with me.
Well, that's understandable. I can understand
So he proposed to me. The next day he came back and he says, I want to marry you. Would you marry me? I said, so soon? I just met you. Well, he says, I'm an army man. I got to do things in a hurry. So I said, well, can you give me a few minutes to think about it? And he says, well, you can think all you want. He didn't leave me think, He just kept talking about all the adventures we were going to have in the war. He was going to take me to war, mind you. And I was only 16 then. So he says, well, you got to come with me. I'll show you the world around. I said, all right. So the first day we were met. The second day we were engaged. And the third day we were married. And the fourth day, he took me to war. Really? And you know how, Mr. Marx? He put me in a trunk. Believe it or not. He just put me in a trunk. And he put the trunk in a big truck, And up I went. In the boat, you know how they lifted with the winch?
Yeah.
There I went.
There was a winch in the winch, huh?
And the winch.
Well, the winch in the winch. I don't know which.
For 2 weeks.
You were in the trunk?
No. The first day I was in the trunk.
It's a fine honeymoon, alone in the trunk.
Honeymoon, that's right. The second day, he put me in an ambulance car, and I laid there like an invalid for 2 weeks while I was traveling the Black Sea to go to Russia.
You didn't know you were going to go through all this when he proposed to you, huh?
Well, no. He didn't tell me that I was going to go in the trunk, because if I had to do that again, I wouldn't do it now. Love or no love? Greek officer or not Greek officer?
You're absolutely right. Now,
Thank you
Mr.
very
Richard McIntosh, that's a Scotch name, isn't it?
That's right.
You're a Schneider? A tailor?
That's right.
That's kind of a curious business for a Scot, isn't it?
Well, I don't think so. There are a great many Scotch tailors.
Is that so? They cut the cloth real short, I suppose. Huh? Are you married?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you've been to the cleaners already, huh? Where do you work, Mac?
Well, I work several places. We have a store in Seattle, one at San Francisco, and our main store here in Hollywood.
Now, suppose I find myself in your shop for a suit of clothes. Now, what happens first?
Well, the salesman greets you.
No, I've already been greeted by your salesman. He just pulled me in off the sidewalk.
Well,
I wanted a belt in the back. Now, suppose you don't happen to have the style suit I'm interested in.
that's impossible because we have all style suits.
Good. Happens I'm interested in a diving suit.
Well, you have me there.
Because I go to many dives later in the evening. Well, tell me, Mr. McIntosh, when a customer orders a suit, how can you be sure he's going to take it after it's made?
Well, we require a deposit.
How much?
Well, we insist they leave at least a half down.
They leave half down?
That's right.
You mean they walk off without their trousers?
No.
How about famous actors? Would you require them to leave half down?
Well, they've got to pay the whole thing in advance. You know?
He not only knows clothes, he knows actors. That's right.